Hi, I'm Jane Stafford from the School of Weaving, and I'm here to tell you a teensy-weensy little bit about Season 9's finale. Everything that you see on the table is what we wove as projects for this entire season. The PDF material is absolutely massive. This is all the downloadable PDF material that comes with your subscription for the School of Weaving. And I'm going to just walk you through briefly to share with you what we did. It's written on the board. We had 7 episodes with weaving. Many of these episodes had 4 and 8 shaft projects for each one, so that we learn it on 4 and then we expand it to 8. The very first episode of the year was brought to us by Rebecca Logan, and she came back to do further studies in shadow weave on 4 and 8. And the whole idea was to create motifs that we could isolate. So let's use our shadow weave to make things simpler. Let's consider the division of space and the graphic that we overlay those ideas on. And we are going to learn to create motifs with a certain number of blocks that sit on a background. So here's a perfect example. Here we have a loaf of bread that has vertical floats and it's sitting on a horizontal background. So that was the whole journey, was learning how to do this on 4 shafts and 8 shafts, and here's a few pieces. There's a great section on how to do this in Fiberworks, and it was a lot of fun. There was another bonus to this. We overlaid all of our shadow weave theory on top of basket weave. So the structure is basket weave. It's not plain weave, it's basket weave, and we've overlaid everything on top of it. Then we continued on with our study of block double weave and 4 shaft double-faced fabrics. It was called Doubling Down on Double Weave. Actually, I'm going to just put these down. There was a 4-shaft project and an 8-shaft project. The 4-shaft project was inspired by a weaver from Australia named David Schultz, who shared with me his discovery of how to create color and weave effects that we normally see in plain weave on 2/2 twill, which allowed me then to bring that forward and create it in, well, here we did. We created it in, it's a color and weave effect that we often see in plain weave, and that goes dark, light, dark, light, dark, repeated over and over. So we have double darks at a certain place. Here it is woven in basket weave. Here is that same motif jumping out right at us in 2/2 twill. And here is that same motif jumping out to us big time in double-faced twill. This is all on 4 shafts. So we have a strong color and weave effect on this side, and we have a reverse side that's completely different. So that was a great fun study that we did on 4 shafts. And then we wove a few scarves that have completely different sides. Here's a scarf that has this on one side, and on the other side it has this. So here, look at all these color and weave effects on one side, and the reverse side is solid. So we learned all of this on 4 shafts. I'm messing up my table. And then Barbara Mitchell came back to do more with us on block double weave. She designed the project. She designed the graphic, the color layout, presented it to me, and then I took it further. I used her graphic, her yarn combinations, and developed it further. And we have these, I think, 9 different wonderful placemats that explore block double weave with the color and weave effect overlaid on top. So here it is in its simplest 4-shaft version, front and back. Could be done on 4 shafts. Then we introduced the blocks because we did threaded on blocks, front and back, complete reversals, another variation. We have our A's and B's framing our B's. And then this is true block double weave where everything switcheroos and you can really see the log cabin. So there were 9 different mats that we played with in that episode, exploring all kinds of tie-ups, changes to the tie-ups to allow us to do different things. And it really helped us understand color management in 2-block double weave on 8 shafts to a much greater level. Then what did we do? We did diversified plain weave. So Rebecca Logan came back. Rebecca Logan asked me if she could create an episode on diversified plain weave. We have a 4 shaft and an 8 shaft. Absolutely amazing what we can do on 4 shafts. Soft, drapey, diversified plain weave on 4 shafts with 2 blocks. But look what we can do on 8 shafts. Twill-inspired profiles. We can get all of this floral motif, but by changing our tie-up, we can also get very strong graphic, all on the same threading. The only thing that's changed here is our tie-up. So there's great support material on all of this for diversified plain weave. Then we had deflected double weave. We got Lisa Hill to come all the way here from Massachusetts to give us a whole episode on her take on deflected double weave, and she created this series of gampkins. We'll call them gampkins, all using the theory that we learned in season 4. We used our twill gamp from season 4 to be profiles for this entire project, and we learned how to treadle it in so many different ways. That was fun. That was the 8 shaft portion of this episode. The 4 shaft portion, we overlaid 2-block deflected double weave on 4 shafts on top of the ideas that we had way back in season 3, where we studied denting. So now we have a dented end to our little soft merino scarf with deflected double weave and some shrinkage happening in there, differential shrinkage between 2 yarns, and we've created 2 stunning scarves, one in turned M's and O's. Yes, we learned how to turn a draft, and that was that episode. Then we had Terry Madison come and teach us how to make these beautiful little bags. Oh my God, they were so much fun. Super detailed PDFs and videography, step by step. Then Lisa Hill came back and Lisa and I worked on this episode together. We looked at all the squares and the gampkins and said, where could we take this? How could we suck information out of this gampkin and turn it into projects? So we created 3 stunningly beautiful projects, all in deflected double weave, all exploring different ways to use the blocks and exploring hand and drape in the fabrics and then exploring ways to manage the selvage. So much fun. That episode, we also were inspired by this lovely little willow weaving that my friend Jean Carey gave to me many years ago. So we ran with this idea for 4 shafts, and we created a series of wonderful little hot mats that you could weave by bringing nature from your yard, from your plant nursery into your studio and onto your loom. I wove with all kinds of things on basically deflected double weave, but I wove it as monk's belt. All the same kind of threading. Lisa wove it purely in deflected double weave, encasing all of her round reed with the weave structure. So that was a ton of fun, and we ended the season with a study of honeycomb. Honeycomb on steroids, really. We started with traditional honeycomb, looking at all the threadings, learning how to play with the size of the cells, learning how to repeat a unit over and over and over again, learning how to isolate a cell with plain weave, and then we started changing our tie-ups and used a cording tie-up, used a tufted weft tie-up, ended up by weaving it with turned M's and O's, all on the same threading, and just more and more and more. And monk's belt. We also wove 2 exquisite alpaca scarves that used our honeycomb in its very traditional way. Totally looks like honeycomb. Learned a lot about color, about contrast, about wavy lines. That's it. That's what we did in this whole season 9. So you gotta come and join us at the School of Weaving. You can print off all of these patterns. You can watch the videos over and over again. We invite you to come for the ride.